Good morning, guys. Sorry, I am a little bit late. How's it, Anon, TJ, Nick? How's my boy? How we all doing, guys? Sorry about that. Bit of a rush this morning, but doesn't look like we missed out on too much. There was a little bit of a dip in gold, but other than that, yeah, not doing too badly here. Have marked out the charts. Members, I know. Sorry, this camera does look a bit different at the moment. There we go. How's it, Stanley? Let's trade this war. I mean, if the war is going on, I don't know why we're coming down in price. So just waiting for some more possible fundamental news to come out, and let's, yeah, like you said, let's trade this war. Let's get the most out of gold. This month has been incredible when it comes to gold, so let's see what we can do. Balas, good morning. Sorry guys, just making sure everything is correct here. A big retest soon. Depends on what level you're talking about. If you're gonna say we're gonna retest a 1960 sort of level, then we're gonna need some more news to be declared, such as some more bombs going off. At the moment, actually, bombs aren't really causing price to go up. I think that's become the normal now. The reason there was such a big move up over the weekend is because Putin obviously talked about the nuclear, I think he was preparing his nuclear sort of weapons and moving them or activating them, something like that. And yeah, you can see this on a lot of liquidity providers as a gap, but on my liquidity provider, it factors in that price and gives you a candle. Ronnie, my boy, welcome. I saw your message now, and you better be a happy man. Just gonna give it a couple minutes, guys, then we're gonna do a full breakdown on GJ and gold. The GJ was perfect with the marking out of the zones for the members. I don't know if you guys did manage to get a chance to watch that video, but yeah, the zone marking was perfect. We had this marked out as a possible rejection area, and then this was our sells area. Unfortunately, it happened at midnight, so again, didn't take any trades at that time, was not awake. My trading view is a big gap. Yeah, well, if you go to, like I said, I always talk about this liquidity providers. So let's say we go to under, okay, not a under. Let's go with FX open. There we go. So you can see some liquidity providers don't take into consideration the weekend sort of price. So what they'll do is they'll have a massive gap where they aren't recording price. But if you go to certain liquidity providers, that's why I use Forex.com on all my pairs where I only trade two, and that will give you the proper pricing. Did you take that one? I did not take that one, Ronan. I'm done trading for the month. I'm not going to take any trades. Alessandro, good morning. Are you coming on Thursday? There's a chance. I don't know yet. I'm thinking about it. I just got to think of what I got to do this week and going into next week. So yeah. Let me check the Telegram. It seems like we got some messages, some charts in here. Can you guys please send some charts if you haven't already? Sorry, let me just make this smaller as well. And then I'll do a full breakdown of things. Your market structure, 3v1 sells. So yeah, safe sells below 154.079, perfect. Buys above 155.115, also perfect. And then at the moment we are in a bit of a like price. It's not moving badly, as you can see here. We came down and came up, but it's not moving the greatest. Above 154.688 looks like there could be some possible buys, just a little bit counter trend because at the moment we are 3v1 bearish. Took a little vacation last week. Beautiful, Alessandro. Where did you go? Or did you just take time off the chart? I am planning on maybe taking a bit of a holiday only in middle of March. So middle of March, maybe beginning of April. I'll take some time off. Took quite a lot of time off in December, so. Naples, beautiful. Let me actually. Naples. It looks nice. Why is Naples so dirty? Hope you had a good time there, Alessandro. Sharif, good morning. Welcome, welcome. Okay, let's get into some breakdowns. Yeah, Rock, I just saw your chart in the Telegram, and this looks perfect. Obviously, there are some riskier buys a bit earlier on, and that's going to be, you can see here above this 154.688, but otherwise your market structure was perfect. Your areas that you're looking for the safer buys and the safer sells is also a little bit better. What you got to watch out for is obviously this massive rejection wick. When real pizza was invented. Actually no, I have had Italian pizza. I went to what's that place called? Cervinia, I think. Cervinia, something like that. It's right by Mont Blanc. I went skiing there and had a pizza there. An Italian pizza is definitely the real deal. I could be saying that wrong though. I think it's Cervinia. Let me check out. Sorry, there's another chart here. This is a different one that I just looked at. Structural flip over here. You have market structure 3v1 cells. Let me check out market structure quick. Okay, let me do my own breakdown and then I'll be able to help out. So we have GJ opening in, I'm not going to reset this chart because we obviously have market open in 3 minutes, but let me just quickly break down gold for you guys and we can see what we're talking about throughout this week. So you can see on gold, I think this was actually bearish when I looked at it yesterday. So I think maybe they've factored in some different prices. But on the weekly, let's just go with what we are looking at now. Our weekly candle last week closed very weak bullish. So obviously we had those strong fundamental moves throughout the week. You can see we tapped into, let's actually also look at the monthly because we are about to close this monthly candle. We are looking at possibly closing on a monthly level of resistance. Now obviously that's very important because we know how strong our higher time frame levels such as the monthly, weekly and daily are. So if we're going to respect this monthly resistance, we can maybe see our cells starting to range a little bit within this monthly resistance and this monthly support, which we are about to form once this monthly candle closes. So if we do close within there, then we can maybe expect to see price come down a little bit. But once again, we just can't ignore the fundamental sort of situation happening around us. If we're going to be looking on the weekly time frame, so our market structure is going to be bullish, very weak bullish though. So I wouldn't look too much into this. You can see we also respected this weekly level of resistance. We came all the way up to this weekly level of resistance, tapped into it, rejected, came all the way back down. If we're going to be looking at this current weekly candle, you can see we obviously had a very strong bullish push to start the day off, and then now we could be coming down to create our bottom wick on the weekly. On the daily, our market structure once again is still bullish as well. You can see that we are in between this level of resistance and in between this level of support. So if we're going to want to see price kind of based on technicals move more in one direction than the other, we're going to need to see maybe a daily candle close above 1911 or a daily candle close below 1881, which we could start doing if this current daily candle flips bearish. You can see we don't actually have a daily bottom wick at the moment. So normally we do have a top and a bottom wick on the daily time frame. So what could be happening now is we're rejecting this resistance area and coming down to create a bottom wick. Once again, fundamentals we cannot ignore, and this is the problem with selling gold, is we could have the perfect technical setup and then all of a sudden something happens with this current fundamental situation and price just goes in the opposite direction. what you can see here based on the 4 hour, this way we can start marking in some zones. We probably have a resistance level around there. Based on the lower time frames, we're definitely going to have to adjust this a little bit. But I would also then say we have a very relevant support level over here. You can see price has kind of been ranging in between these levels, and then we had obviously that strong push out to the top side and then came straight back into the range. So we don't move very easily when we're in this current price range, but let's see if we can break out of this 4 hour range. You can already see the previous 4 hour candle respected the high of that opening 4 hour candle, broke the low now, and are coming down to possibly this 4 hour support. Let's see if we respect that or not. Market structure on the 4 hour is currently bearish as well. That was our high point which created the high. You can see we got a candle close below that level, so that is bearish. Weekly bullish, daily bullish, 4 hour bearish. Our 1 hour at the moment is also bearish in market structure. This was our high, and then this was our point which created the high. You can see we got the candle close below that, so our market structural flip will only be up there. So we are about to have London open now, and we are forming resistance on a previous level of resistance. So I'm just looking to see now, tapped into that, we could be coming back down. Is what I am possibly thinking. I just want to, like I say guys, I'm not taking any more trades this month, but I'm done myself trading for the month, but let's see if we can maybe find some possible entries based on GJ market open. I'll be saying sells, you know, obviously because we have tapped into this resistance level. I think we are more bearish in market structure than we are bullish, and obviously it's London open. We have, I wouldn't call these exactly clean candles to the left, but they are somewhat clean. And we also tapped into a 1 hour level of resistance. The only problem is obviously when we're looking at candle formations here, we aren't really respecting candle highs or candle lows or anything like that. Sorry, candle highs, sorry. We didn't respect that candle high, but we aren't respecting candle lows either. So at the moment, it's a very mixed sort of situation. If we consider 1 hour 3v2 bearish structure, well, yeah, exactly. So in that case, sells do obviously make sense if you are looking at the 1 hour market structure as well. There's no, you know, 30 minutes support which we have to worry about when coming down here. So yeah, I'll just be a little bit cautious. Obviously at this point you would have had your entry by now, I would say, and then based on price possibly coming down, there would be 2 areas to manage, oh sorry, 1 area to manage risk, and that would be obviously at the candle flip, because we've already pushed quite a bit down. So if price does come back up to 154.468, I would consider closing half. But we also know London volume obviously can come in a little bit later, and then sometimes it messes around at the beginning of the candle. All I'm looking at right now is where have we rejected. You can see here we have formed resistance on a previous level of resistance. We're also more bearish than we are bullish at the moment. So it's just going to be a matter of, is there going to be volume or not? It's definitely going to be 15-minute support to worry about. Our daily candles also bearish, no top wick. Yeah, pretty interesting situation here. To me it makes sense for price to come down, but not the, just a bit of a lack of open volume at the moment. That's not to say that it won't come. Maybe just lower your risk if you are going to be looking at taking this. Good amount of range as well. We're going to be looking at some of the fundamentals happening throughout this week, guys. So obviously today there's hardly anything happening, not much to worry about. Very low impact news all around. There is some, or has been some, very low impact yen news which came through. Some housing starts yearly sort of stats, so nothing to worry about there. I think obviously Wednesday and Friday are big days this week. We have ADP on Wednesday, and Friday we have NFP, so that's going to be massive. Tomorrow we also have some high impact US dollar news. Tomorrow is also the first day of the month, so that's always something to take into consideration, something to be aware of. And yeah, we have some medium impact pound news, so also something to look at. Now Wednesday obviously is the big day when it comes to ADP. We all know that this can have some major moves on the market, so definitely something to look at. And then if we're going to be looking at the medium impact news, we have some crude oil inventories coming through. Then obviously Thursday we have some PMI coming in. You guys can take a look on unemployment claims as well. But then Friday is the big day. So Friday is obviously our NFP. They are also expecting some pretty good numbers on NFP. Well, good for, it's going to be good for gold. You're looking for this current candle to close below your orange line. Not this orange line. Ideally, I'd like to see maybe some support form and then we get below that support. So maybe some lower time frame support. Otherwise, for me, I'm actually more interested in gold, to be honest with you. You look at gold, you can see the ranges that we have on gold are a lot better. I'll do a full gold, well I did do a bit of a full gold breakdown just now, sorry, I'll finish that off. Obviously we're now looking on the 30 minute, we do need to adjust our zones a little bit so they aren't cutting through candle bodies. You do need to obviously take into consideration the rejection wicks. These are always going to be important, but what we do need to realize is that when there is high volume, we often will push straight to rejection wick. So if we can form some support around this level, obviously we're going to need to see what happens. Then we still have more range to fall to the downside. Otherwise we could see ourselves come up a little bit and then come back down. Could you explain why GJ 30 minute is bearish market? It never breaks, should be bullish. Okay, let me just quickly explain that to you. So we'll go back a little while so I can show you a couple of market structure transitions. So this was our low which we had created. This was a point which created the low. So this is where our structural flip's going to be. We then flip structure because obviously we've got the candle close above that level, created a new high, then this becomes a point which flips structure bearish. We then created another new high above that area. You can see that, so that becomes our new high, and then we look for a 2 or more candle pullback, which you can see is right here. So now we've got a candle close below that level. That would be these candles. So market structure went from being bullish, point which created bullish market structure, candle closed below that level. Now we are bearish, right? So this is our low, and this is the point which created the low. So we're only going to be bullish above this area. So that is why we are currently bearish in market structure on the 30 minute. I hope that makes sense and that it wasn't too quick. If it was too quick, I don't mind going over that again. I know how market structure can be quite a hard one to grasp. Definitely one of the main focuses. No problem, Stanley. GJ, what's going on? GJ is just being GJ at the moment, to be honest with you. We know the London Opens we've had recently are not the greatest. I mean, there is potential for us to come down. Like I said, resistance at a previous level of resistance. We might get that late GJ volume, which has become trademark this whole year. Ed says, simple really, knowing your anchor points is key. Well, there you go, you heard it from Ed himself. Knowing your anchor points is key. Can you explain to us, Ed, what our anchor points are? I don't trade anchor points. Just be careful with GJ right now, guys. You can see it's in a bit of a state. This 4 hour might flip bearish as well. Then there's very good possibility that we are going to continue bearish. Anchor points pretty much the same as swing highs, lows, but usually defined as a specific candle. There you have it, guys. Anchor points. Thank you, Ed. Let's just look at where we could be coming up to if we do decide to break through these sorts of areas. Say that's somewhere to target, and this is somewhere to target as well. Once again, looking to be coming down a little bit on GJ. Morning, do you think the market will close the opening gap? Well, you can already see that we have corrected a lot of the gap already on gold. We've come down. This was the gap. Like I said, guys, if you don't want gaps on your charts, find a liquidity provider which doesn't show gaps. That's going to be your best option. And Forex.com is a perfect example of that. Forex.com does not have gaps in the market. So if gaps put you off trading, or you don't understand if there's clean candles there or something like that, simple, just find a liquidity provider which doesn't have gaps. And this is a perfect example of one. Looks like we are coming down here. Was quite expected. Just, yeah. Like I said, this year London Open has really been different in terms of, normally what we're getting throughout most of last year was like an instant volume surge. So as market open happened, the open candle was, flying up or down, whichever way, you were getting it instantly within the first, I'd say, 5 minutes. Now what we've had to do is wait about 10 to 15 minutes to actually get any sort of volume. I've noticed it a lot this year. I know I have complained about it as well a lot on stream this whole year. So that's something definitely want to either see a change in terms of this coming into this March sort of time, and as we approach, you know, the later first half of the year. But it's also something that if you do start noticing things like this, that's when you can start, you know, using it to your advantage. Maybe let the first few minutes of the candle play out, even if it breaks the low or the high, depending on if you want to take a buy or sell. Be patient and trust that, you know, the way that price has been moving recently, that you will get your opportunity to take your entry. Because obviously if you don't want to be holding drawdown, then you would have seen, if you had taken the entry as price broke this candle low, we messed around here for a little bit. We flipped bullish, obviously creating our top wick. It just wasn't very nice. And then you can see as we came towards the end of the candle, sorry, not the end of the candle, towards the end of the first 15 minutes of this 30-minute candle, we then started getting a surge in the volume, and that's when we did this latest, you know, 13 or so pips. That's how, yeah. So definitely something to take into consideration, that. Gold, I think areas we can possibly be looking at on gold. This is going to be more relevant. If we're going to be coming back up, I'd say that's a good area to look at. And if we're going to be coming down, that's a good area to look at. And further down, so here we go. This is more or less key levels that we could react at once we start coming down. I mean, this is 60 pips away, more or less. This one, if we form some support, is going to have about 80 pips worth of range. Again, trading into that market sort of open that we had this morning. Then if we break above this level, you can see we have clean candles to the left, but it's very unrealistic to just correct this whole move in one sort of go. So what we would be expecting is maybe to get partials of this overall move up. I mean, that's 100 or so pips. So if you can manage to get some of that, you know, that's great. So let's just type in here what we'll be looking for on GJ. Those are risky, by the way, guys, because they are counter trend. And then we are going to be looking for just be careful of this wick, obviously, guys, because we know that when you're trading into a wick, you can more or less reject at any sort of point. And obviously these are continuation sells, because if we do correct this sort of move that we had up, you can see at the moment we are ranging, but it's a nice clean range, then this will be continuation sells below that level. And then if we go to gold, let me see, we have formed some 50-minute support now. Okay, so that's great. Surely trading into that wick is suicide. You don't have to do anything. Anon, don't worry. Don't you worry, bud. This is just how I'm looking at the markets. You don't have to trade into that wick if you don't want to trade into that wick. Just because I put here potential sell continuation doesn't mean that I'm going to take a sell if price comes into this area. You need to see the candle confirmations. Then what else have we got here? On gold, I'd say I mean, it's really far away, but let's just mark it in anyway. Very far away, in fact. Potential type C on gold, or do you think it's too risky? What I would like to see for the type C to play out, to be honest, is a 1 hour support to form. I think that look, if we get this 30-minute candle to close bullish, and the first bit of this candle so the first 15 minutes is a bullish candle and the second 15 minutes is a weak bearish candle, then I think, yeah, at the break of that 30-minute high, it makes sense, because we have then formed support, lower time frame resistance, and then we could come up. But what we also need to look at is the daily candle. So the daily candle, so far we don't have a bottom wick, so that for me is already an indication that we could be running into some trouble with some buys, and that the buys, and you can see how high we came up. So another thing that I was wary of is we tapped into this resistance area, and you can see we've rejected it, and now we're coming back down to, you know, into the 1800s. We were in the 1900s, we're back down into the 1800s. So obviously 1900 is a very key level. We know those full 100 numbers are key levels on gold. So yeah, I do understand why you would say that, Nick, type C, especially if we get the candle formation. So what you want to see is this candle respect this candle's low, so that we are doing at the moment, so that's great. But what we also need to see now is the minor resistance. So we either need to see a 15-minute resistance. I'd actually say only a 15-minute resistance. Even a 5-minute resistance, I'd be a bit worried about, because you can see the seller's pressure in the market at the moment. It's strong. In the last hour and a half, we came down 150 pips. So that's telling me that there are a lot of sellers in the market. So let's just be careful with that. Otherwise, what we can do is once we, let's say we form support here, then the next candle, we want to see maybe 30-minute resistance, and then what that's going to do is give us another zone, because then we can mark in a resistance line, and then we can wait for a candle close above that to correct this move up. So that's just the more patient and cautious approach. Like I said, the only thing that these taking the safe approach can lead to in trading is missing an opportunity. But missing an opportunity is infinitely better than losing a trade. So that's definitely something to look at. So it's super, super important, guys, to understand when we look at a chart, we're not just looking at, okay, we have some bullish candles and we have some bearish candles and we have some zones. What we need to look at is, what do these candles tell us? Now, to me, what that tells us is 150 pips worth of seller's pressure. So buying into seller's pressure like that, then that's when we go to the high time frames as well. You can see the 4-hour time frame has literally broken the low of the previous 4-hour candle. We haven't broken any 4-hour candle highs in the last 2 4-hour candles. So definitely something to look at. We are coming up to an area where we could possibly see some reaction, though. We have some wicks over here, and you can see on the lower time frames that is resistance. So if we start forming some support at this previous level of resistance, that's almost like a break and retest, then yes, there could be a possibility of us continue up. But let's just be careful of what this has just shown us. Are you against gold sells because of war? I am very reluctant of the gold sells because of, like I said earlier, you can have the perfect technical setup, and when you have fundamental market conditions like we have at the moment, it can just go from beautiful to awful in a matter of seconds, because next thing you know, they announce something which, you know, is going to have a bad effect on the price. So a good effect on the price of gold, a bad effect on the price of the dollar, and then we start shooting back up, even if technically it is perfect to take some sells. It's not saying there aren't selling opportunities, guys. There's plenty of selling opportunities. Sells below this 1905 level would have been perfect. Impulse, so. Fundamentals also affect GJ. Yep, they are involved in the whole Russia-Ukraine situation, so fundamentals will definitely affect GJ. Fundamentals affect every pair. Obviously, if you want your fundamentals, you just head off to Forex Factory, and then obviously you can check out the news here as well. There's a lot about what's been happening. A lot of sanctions being placed against Russia as well, guys, so that's obviously going to be quite important to know as well. I think they also cancelled, or they paused the markets in Russia, so you can't actually trade the ruble. I haven't actually seen many charts in the Telegram, guys. I've literally only seen 2, and they were both from the same person. So if you guys do have any charts, please put them in Telegram and I can take a look at them for you. Be nice to form some 30-minute support, and then we can maybe see some continuation down if we break that support. GJ literally just whipped into this area, rejected. So if you were in those GJ sells, I mean, by the time the price got down here, you would have certainly, I hope, secured some profits. If not, at the very least, moved your stop loss to break even, because that is, I would say, when you go 10 pips up, that should always be your first thing. If you're not going to secure profits, at least make sure that you don't go that far into profits and let price come back to your entry and even possibly towards your stop loss. Your stop loss, by the time you get up to, I would say, 9, 10 pips in profit, I would be moving your stop loss to break even. There's no reason to be up in profits that much and then end up losing money. It just shouldn't be something you should be doing as a trader. See what else we got here. Foreign clients. Nothing too exciting happening at the moment. Gold, of course, is offering opportunities in the markets recently to make a lot of money, guys. So if you are comfortable enough with trading gold, use this to your advantage, because these sorts of situations you can make a lot of money. On GJ, we have a 3v1 bearish market structure. That is correct. The only market structure that is currently still bullish is our daily, and that's because that's our high point which created the high, never exceeded that point, never created a new high. So our market structure on the daily is bullish. However, weekly closed bearish last week. You can see that our 4 hours bearish is our low. We're only going to transition market structure above here. And our 30-minute, like I explained just now, this is our low point which created the low. Only have that up there. Yeah, no problem, Alessandro. No stress. And then obviously our 1 hour is bearish as well. Due to this candle close. Yep, no stress. It's very hard to do long-term predictions based on the situations that we have at the moment. What I said in the members video, which I made last night, was you can see where we rejected last week. The weekly candle, so towards the end of last week, we obviously formed that daily support on Friday. But what was interesting is how we tapped into this level of weekly support and then rejected that straight away. So at the moment, we've obviously already come down and filled this wick. You can see we had that with the pressure that we had this morning. Obviously, again, due to the fundamentals that were released over the weekend. So what we can expect now, maybe, possibly, this is just a possible prediction, is we don't have a weekly top wick. So if now we flip this weekly candle bullish, we could then start seeing some continuation bullish. We obviously have the range to trade into, and then that technically will make sense because we tapped into this weekly support level and rejected it. That's just what I'm looking long term. So we got a message in the Telegram. What's the thought process to take sell into that wick? It's high risk, but what you can basically understand is that we obviously have clean candles to the left. This wick basically showed that we went with those clean candles. Price came up easily through that point. We came down easily, rejected that support area. So what we haven't got below 154.057 yet is a candle close. Now, what a candle close tells us is that this whole level of support over here has not been respected. So if we're closing below this support level, that means that there's good opportunity or probability that price is going to continue down, regardless of if there's a wick here or not. Because what that indicates to us is that the support level, which has been respected once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, has now not been respected. So that's what a candle close will indicate to us. Obviously, what it means is with this wick is that we might not get such a clean move down, but it's still a strong indication that that could be our bearish continuation. That's what a candle close tells us, guys. So if we look at, let's say up here, we respected this resistance level 3 times. So what's a candle close going to give us if we see a candle close above that level? Obviously, we have clean candles to the left, but let's say there was some resistance areas within here. This still tells us if we get a candle close above a resistance which is held multiple times, that that resistance level is no longer being respected. Now, if resistance no longer is respected, what that tells us is that, okay, there's a chance price is going to move up. So if support isn't being respected, so this one, we've respected this price level 4 times, and now if we get a candle close below that level, support is not being respected, so the chance that we can then come down. Just adds to probability. Wicks, yeah, wicks can be scary, I understand that, but you know, what you got to do is look at candles. You got to look at how are candles closing. Yeah, I'm not too interested in this, to be honest. Didn't have a top wick, not much of a bottom wick either. Do you wait for a retest and continuation from the level after it's broken to avoid fake outs? Yeah, so what I'll do is, there was a really good example of it on gold, I think it was. Yeah, here's a perfect example of it. What I like to do is, let's say this was our support level which we had marked out. Why it was a relevant support level is because if we broke below the support, we obviously had these clean candles to trade into to the left here. And what ended up happening was we got a candle close below that support. The very next candle wicked up. So on the lower time frames, that's going to be your retest. So that's going to be on lower time frames, support turning into resistance. So that's going to be on your 1 minute, 5 minute, 15 minute, whatever it is. It's going to be a retest on one of the time frames. So then by coming down and breaking this 30-minute candle low, that's an indication that the retest has been complete at this level. And then we can come down and fill some of this clean candle range, which is exactly what we did. We came down about 86 pips. So that's just a very simple type B entry. I teach that as a type B entry. What it is basically a close below a level or close above a level. Then the next candle wicks up or wicks down and then breaks the high or low of the previous candle, the closing candle. Because that wick, people don't understand what this wick does for us. So what this wick does for us, obviously it provides us with a stop loss level, but what it also does is provide us with a retest on the lower time frames. Remember guys, wicks on higher time frames are supports and resistances on lower time frames. So if you see a 4-hour wick on GJ or gold, that on the lower time frames when you start dropping down is going to be forming some supports or resistance. As you can see, we're forming some support right now. That's why you need to use all the time frames. So what time frame and what point do you enter after the retest? Again, doesn't have to be on a specific time frame, but what I like to see is obviously a retest at this point, and then I'll enter based, let's say this trade I would have entered based on the 30-minute time frame at the break of this candle wick. That would have been my entry. I didn't take this trade actually, but this is your perfect type B setup. Close below support, wick up, retest, and then your entries at the break of the previous candle low. At this point, what the candles are also telling us is you've respected the previous candle low. You can see what this candle told us as well: rejection, rejection, and then continuation. How's the blip? How you doing? So is that more of a wick rejection rather than an opportunity to trade that as a wick fill on GJ? So the way that you identify a rejection is the wick bigger than the candle body? So at this point, I mean, if you want to be very, very particular about it, you can see this wick is about 82 pips and the candle body is about 82 as well. So it's very similar. You could say that this is a rejection from this support level. There's a very clear reason why we rejected this level. It's because this is a previous level of support. But I would say that, you know, what I would be basing these sells on is the fact that we're not respecting support levels rather than this wick. Okay, so the break of the wick that closed below the level. Yeah, exactly. So break of that wick low there. Type C on gold would have worked, but risky. Anon, I'm very surprised you know what a type C is, but obviously you have been paying attention in chat, so I'm impressed. Yeah, too risky for my liking. No bottom wick, so it didn't really provide a stop loss level, and yeah, just not my sort of setup. I would have much rather have seen this candle maybe have a bigger wick to the top and then this candle wick down a little bit more, and then once we break that level I would have liked to seen a possible entry. But what obviously if you're going to be looking at candle formations, you can see this support was very strong support. So that's again something you need to look at, is obviously not just what levels are we closing above or below, but the size of the candle. Is a strong or weak support that we formed? Strong, very strong support. You can see that candle closed strong bullish as opposed to a weak bullish candle. You say GJ's ranging, it is ranging at the moment, just a very, to be honest, quite a clean range. See, we are, look at this, very easy move up, easy move down, easy move up, and then now we're having a bit of a problem. But yeah, we are ranging at the moment, which is why I would probably avoid it until we get above or below our marked out areas here. Check out beloved Bitcoin. BTC USD. Currently sitting on 38,000, which is not going to be looking great for anyone holding Bitcoin long term at the moment. How did last week close? Bearish. Sitting on a weekly support. Let me see how this monthly candle is going to close. I think this monthly candle is going to possibly indicate a lot, because obviously if we form support at this level, technically we are respecting a monthly support, because then we would have formed support on a previous level monthly support, but it's going to be such weak support anyway that if that support then breaks, we could be coming way back down. So yeah, good luck to any long-term Bitcoin holders. I don't know also what the situation with Bitcoin is now that we also have this war going on. Don't know if it's meant to be beneficial or anything like that. We got about another 5-10 minutes, guys, so if you do have any questions, anything like that, please do ask, or any charts you want me to check out, I'll happily do that as well. much to really do on either pair. If we do start coming up a little bit, what I would maybe suspect GJ 2v2 Anon. I don't know if you've been listening this whole stream, but I think we've gone over GJ market structure about 5 times, because we had Stanley asking how 30 minutes is bullish, I mean bearish, and then Alessandro asked as well what the market structure was, which I confirmed, but GJ is currently 3v1 bearish. Our only market structure which is bullish on GJ is the daily. The rest are all bearish. So if you want to see any structural flips, first place we're going to find that is, well, technically this is our low, but let's just say there, that's the point which created it. We're only going to flip structure above that level, which then plays into our potential buys above 155.123, because then we're going to have a 2v2 market structure that's also going to be looking very good on the 4 hour, because as you can see above that level on the 4 hour, there are also some clean 4 hour candles. It's also going to be a break of Friday's daily candle high roughly. But again, we've pushed quite strong bearish, so just be careful. Our market structure is currently bearish. Took a risky buy on gold. Yeah, risky type C entry. If anyone did take it, well done. Obviously, looking at it, you can see that we did form, we formed some support on a previous level of resistance. You can see we tapped into that and then formed some very strong support. The reason that I didn't want to take it is obviously there's a lot of sellers pressure in the market. Not much of a top wick, not much of a bottom wick, and then price did push up. So I mean, if you took the trade, there's no fault in that. You would have taken a winning trade, but just not my sort of setup. And I'd much rather feel 90% about a setup rather than 60%. But yeah, congrats if you did take that gold buy. You took it based on the 5 minutes. Close above this resistance. Yeah, it was a nice little like scalp trade, to be honest with you. It moved quite nicely, 22 pips. Quick risky buys, but that's fine. Really am wanting us to continue bearish on GJ. I'm scared to trade with this war. Brings me back to Brexit. Yeah, I've heard some Brexit horror stories. Yeah, just, I mean, you're probably trading, probably weren't managing risk. So, as long as, if you've learned one thing from the stream, I hope it's manage risk. Do you trade exotics? I only trade 2 pairs. GJ, gold, no exotics. Had no stop loss. Well, there you go. You've just explained your whole problem. You know how people can think trading without a stop loss is gonna make you money. Just baffles me. But hopefully you've learned a lesson, Anon. Hopefully no more blowing of accounts. But yeah, Ed, I do not trade any exotics. I've been trading GJ and gold for ages now, and only those 2. About 5 minutes left, guys. Also, it's gonna be the 15-minute candle close. just now. So you can see on GJ we are gonna possibly form a bit of a weak bearish 15-minute candle, which isn't really helping much. Again, ranging on the 15 as well as the 30. See our 1 hour situation. Yeah, bit of a range as well. Looking into gold buys at all with that big candle to the left. Well, what I would like to see is with this 30-minute candle, maybe we can form some resistance. So let's say it closes something like this. Then what I would be, the only way I'll be happy to then take the buys is if we get a candle close above this level, and then the next candle, so we kind of get that. So that's going to be my only sort of way of being tempted into the gold buys. Otherwise, like I said, I chatted to Nick and Alessandro about it just now. I was not keen on these gold entries at all. Also, by then we're going to have our 1 hour candle close, and if our 1 hour candle close does not close strong bullish, then the support, there's a good chance that support might break. So if we get a weak 1 hour candle close and then break the low, the continuation sells might be very possible. So let's just wait and see. Please, if you guys haven't already, do leave a like on the stream. Also sub if you're unsubbed. Join the free Telegram as well if you aren't in it. So hopefully come down a little bit more. Got my magic keys open here just in case something happens. Could come down and retest this low. But yeah, I'm not interested in taking any trades on gold at the moment. Also not interested in taking any trades on GJ. So what I'm going to be doing is obviously waiting for the candle closes above or below the marked out areas, guys. Obviously also taking into consideration market structure. On GJ at the moment we are 3v1 bearish, and on gold we are bullish, bearish, and bearish. 2v2 bearish. Sorry, 2v2 mixed structure. So buys or sells make sense. Traders really 90% patience. I learned that the hard way. Thanks for streaming. No problem at all, Ethan. You're completely right. There's a lot of patience involved in trading. It's definitely not a very high, intensity job. So yeah, if you have patience, trading is going to be, pretty fun. So yeah, guys, I am looking for mainly sells on GJ. Obviously, if we do get structural flips, buys are going to make more sense, as well as candle close above this resistance. I will be looking at possibly taking some buys. I don't think, though, I'm going to trade for the rest of the month. I might not take any trades today. It's been a really good month. I didn't trade Thursday, didn't trade Friday, or it may have just been Friday. But yeah, hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day. No afternoon stream this morning. That will be tomorrow, because that's going to be on Tuesdays and Thursdays now, or possibly actually only member session Tuesdays and Thursdays. So we'll discuss that. And yeah, I hope that you guys have an amazing rest of your day and trade safely. Please be careful with all this news coming in. It's going to be quite risky to take any sort of positions against the fundamental situation. So yeah, have a great day, everyone. Thanks, Nick. Thanks, Blip. Alessandro, thank you very much. Yeah, thanks for all the support, guys. And I'll see you guys exact same time tomorrow. Antonio, thank you very much as well. Cheers, guys.